my Area 51 line. You're on the air. Hello.
Welcome to the Blondes and Booze Paranormal Podcast, where what you've known as reality will be shattered by the truth. Krista and Brandi will lift the veil from your eyes, revealing what has either been hidden or denied you for eons.
I saw a big face there. I was like, hey.
Howdy.
Hey, everybody.
Happy
Welcome
Thursday.
to Blondes and Booze. My name is Brandi. All right. Happy Thursday. And there's Krista right there.
Yeah. Krista got a haircut.
Krista got a haircut, grew a beard. There it is.
Yeah. Krista is out doing stuff with her daughter tonight. So
Yes, she is. Yes, she is. You know, it is that time again. It just seems like we have these little spots where we have to stop and do stuff with the kids. And right now is that time.
Yeah. And that is priority one.
Yes. Family is number one priority. So, you know, so here we are.
Yeah.
How was your day today?
Mine is going pretty good. I mean, I worked out in the backyard and planted my garlic and my shallots and my onions, and so got them in the ground.
Oh, nice.
Burned a little brush and made a run to Lowe's and got some flowers and
yeah. Sounds like you were busy.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. Real nice today too. Yeah. So first time I could burn any brush. You know, the wind had died down. So
True. We've had like 5 days of it being windy so far.
Yeah.
That's enough. Thank you.
Yeah, but I don't think we're quite done. Yeah, it looks like we're
There's
done.
More coming.
Well, the high winds for the week anyway. I mean, 25, 30 miles an hour gust, you know, every once in a while, but that's about it.
Well, that's not too bad. Better than what we've been having, you know.
And then, man, I'd like to be camping this week, man. Highs in the high 70s, low 80s, lows in the 50s and 60s.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Yeah, mostly clear every night. Partly cloudy. Yeah.
Well, you know how it gets in Texas when it says high 70s, 80s there and there. It's hot during the day, people. It's hot already. Got to stay in the shade. But those nights are sure nice, you know.
Yeah, I got me a big old rocking chair on the back porch, and you know, if it's not windy, I can put a fire in the fire pit and just.
That's pretty nice.
You know, so.
Well, I don't know. Did you? You know, I have to ask you. Did you choose this title here for our show? You know, werewolves, werebears, werecats, and werehogs.
I did. I did.
You're gonna have to tell me about this.
Well, you know, I mean,
is this something else I need to be looking for?
Well, werewolves is not all we hear about, you know, especially here lately. I mean, people have been bringing up, you know, Hogman and Batman and Spider-Man, and, you know.
Right? You know, I mean, it's funny, though. Every time I hear werebears, I think of Care Bears. I you know, and they're drastically different.
Yeah, they are. You know, when I hear werebears, I go back to my my geek days, my nerd days when I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with guys at school, and they had Werebears.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I go to it. But yeah, I mean, we're always hearing about different kinds of stuff, and mainly it's werewolves. But if we got werewolves, why can't we have some other things out there? Weresquatch, yeah, Patty, Weresquatch. Yeah,
Weresquatch.
Yeah, Weresquatches. You know, because in the '80s we had swatches.
Swatches.
Do you remember those?
We have swatches. I do remember those watches with the plastic wristbands or the rubber. Yeah, I remember those.
Oh, I could never figure out
sure
why the hell they were so damn popular. I'm like,
and why were they so expensive?
Right, they were made out of cheap ass material.
I don't know. I really don't know. I mean, it was just one of those things. But I had one. I had one that was, I think mine was white and it had interchangeable bands or something like that. And I guess when I broke that, I just quit wearing them. I didn't want another one. They make your wrists sweat and, you get dirt underneath them and no. Just no.
Swatches, Ray-Bans, and parachute pants. Speaking of parachute pants. Speaking of parachute pants, Mr. Parachute Pants himself just popped in backstage.
Oh.
I guess he'll bring himself up.
Is he wearing his parachute pants today?
I don't know. He might.
Oh.
Can't touch this. Parachute pants. Come on. MC Hammer.
Oh yeah. Brent, how are you?
You just brought the 80s back to me, brother. I'm good. How are you?
Good.
The 80s are a blur to me.
What's going on in your 80s, Tex?
I was bouncing.
Exactly.
I was bouncing in the 80s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been a blur. Yeah, I don't know. It was a good decade for me, I guess. That's to date myself, that's when I graduated high school, 87. I became a man. So they say.
1987.
That was the day. It was 87. I became a man.
Yeah. I graduated 1984.
Did you? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I respect you, because you're my elder.
And don't you forget it. I'll take a twitch to you, young feller.
So what are we doing?
Oh my goodness.
I'm excited to be here. This is my second time on Blondes and Booze. I'm telling you, this is good.
Well, you're gonna have to talk to Tex about this title because I was sitting here and that's the first thing I asked him. I said, you're gonna have to explain this to me, because he named it Werewolves, Werebears, Werecats, and Werehogs.
And the next one is Where's Dinner?
Yeah.
Where's dinner?
I don't know. Yeah, I guess I don't know what Werecats or Werehogs are, but
well, we got told last time we were out at Dogman Ranch. Well, not last time. Time before last, we were out at Dogman Ranch, and we got told by somebody that there were dogmen around us and a hawk. I can hear the washer out of balance from across the house. It's walking over here, I
think. The house is going thump, 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 thump.
I was like, is that MC Hammer? Hammer time.
Oh my goodness. All right, Tex, what were you saying?
Well, I was saying we were told that there was dogmen and a hogman around us. And I thought, well, that's interesting because, we looking back through history, if you think about it, we've heard of the lion-headed men, look at all the demigods for the Egyptians. You know, you had ones with bird heads and everything else. And why are we so focused on, well, the only one that, you know, we really think that anybody ever talks about being real is like Anubis, the canine one. But nobody ever talks about the possibility of all these others being, you know, being out there.
Well,
so I thought, maybe we can have a discussion about that.
Yeah, I've certainly covered plenty of stories through the years of like lizard men. I don't know that they would be like croc men like you see depicted in the hieroglyphics in Egypt, but certainly perhaps that was their interpretation of a lizard man, you know, was to make it a crocodile head. I don't know how many lizards were in ancient Egypt when they were painting these things, but maybe the closest thing they had was either frogs or gators, and maybe it was something in the middle, so they just anthropomorphized it into a crocodile head. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, but it does surprise me doing this stuff how many things could be out there. Like when I started doing this, I was like, well, there's Bigfoot and I've heard of Dogman, and yeah, I know what's out there. I'm ready. And then I started hearing about all this stuff like the Loveland Frogman and
yeah,
you know, and then there's any number of the insect people like the mantis likes, which may be extraterrestrial or they may be something else. So I guess you can slap any head on a human frame and probably have an existing cryptid of some kind.
Well, I mean, like South Carolina, was it last year or 2 years ago that their emergency department actually put out a notice during the what was it, the lunar eclipse, to beware of upticks in lizard man activity. They put that in the paper. Yeah, their emergency department did.
Wow.
And then they said it was a joke.
Oh, good one. Was it around April? Was it like April 1st when that came out, or when did that happen?
You know what? Let me look that up, because I remember talking about it, and let's see, Lizard Man announcement. It was a PSA. PSA.
Yeah. I can't even imagine them putting that in the paper.
Carolina, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's very unusual.
Well, they did. Because I remember talking about it.
Yeah, that's a hell of an admission for an official. Well, I mean, even a semi-official publication like a newspaper is, you know, not usually. I mean, unless it was just, I don't know, maybe there's a joke, something that correlated to it in their local history. I don't know. That's a very strange one.
Well, and this, let's see, Bishopville. Let's see, city of Bishopville. Well, see, and this is from the Lee County, the city of Bishopville. This is off their website. The Lizard Man of Scape or Swamp. Lee County's most famous reptile is back in business.
Oh.
Lee County, this is from the Lee County Observer newspaper. Lee County, South Carolina, the legend and folklore of the cryptid known as Lizard Man has existed. That first fateful sighting in the summer of 1988. The Lizard Man in Lee County's very own homegrown monster, 7 foot tall, red-eyed, scaly-skinned reptile that emerged from Scape or Swamp one dark and humid night in July 1988 to scare the living daylights out of a young Lee County kid.
Oh.
Chris Davis, a Bishopville teen on his way home after his shift ended at McDonald's, blew a tire on his car in Browntown.
I think I'd be in Browntown if something was chasing me too.
See, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
That's kind of fitting.
Blew a tire in his car in Browntown, in the Browntown area of the county, very close to the edge of a escape or swamp. The young man got out of his car and was walking to change the flat when suddenly he heard a sound, almost like someone or something running on the asphalt. And it was coming closer and closer through the dark night towards him. When the shadowy shape slowly started to take form, Davis couldn't believe what he was seeing. He would later describe the creature as standing about 7 feet tall with green, scaly skin, red eyes, and 3 toes on each foot. The lizard man had made his first public appearance. Davis jumped back to the safety of his car and roared away, flat or not, but not before the creature attacked his car, ripping off a side mirror and jumping atop the 17-year-old's car and viciously denting the roof. The attack was reported to then Sheriff Liston Truesdell, who, along with his deputies, took the incident seriously and investigated the claims, especially after Davis took and passed a polygraph test. A few weeks later, several folks who lived in the vicinity of Scape or Swamp reported having their cars attacked by some kind of creature that ripped off and possibly chewed on the bumpers. Deputies stayed quite busy that summer, chasing down lizard leads, even discovering some enormous 3-toed footprints left in the swamp by some type of creature and making plaster cast out of them. At the time, it seemed the whole world went crazy for the lizard man, the media descending on Bishopville from literally all over the globe. Sheriff Truesdell said the lizard man had become a national celebrity and put Lee County on the map. We had newspapers, television stations from all over the globe coming here to Browntown and Scope or Swamp. A radio station in Columbia offered a $1 million reward for the capture of the lizard man, but it was never claimed. The sheriff's office stayed busy trying to answer hundreds of calls about the creature from as far away as Japan and New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
Mm.
In 2019, the Friends of the Lizard Man Committee was formed. Just as they were getting on their feet, however, COVID hit and all plans to revive the legend had to be put on hold. But this little group was nothing if not tenacious. When it was considered safe to resume meeting, they came together and decided on a motto for their organization: preserving the legend. The vision was to integrate the legend with the local community initially. However, the outreach soon grew larger and the audiences, larger audience of followers. After all, who doesn't love a good legend involving a monster?
Oh, well, you know what? I'm going to write a book and I'm going to have you do the audio for it. We're going to make millions on it. Second of all, about that story. Okay, so the story that you were saying was this boy was terrified, ripping apart his cars. Other people were reporting that they're ripping apart the cars, and they made a friend to the lizard man group, a fan club.
Yeah.
What?
And no, Freaky, I read that cold. Thank you.
Are you kidding me? They made a fan club.
Yeah, they even have a statue in the city now.
Wow. Well, you know, it's also scary. I mean, speaking of fan clubs, I mean, there's serial killers that have fan clubs, and it's just
Absolutely.
What? So
absolutely.
I guess that's hard to believe.
Yeah, you're right there. But I mean, I guess they couldn't be outdone by Mothman.
Right. Right. You know, that is the other side of this. It's like, I think everybody wants their cryptid just so they can have a festival, and I mean, it does equal revenue, it does equal tourism. It really is kind of a cash grab in a lot of ways for a lot of this stuff. You know,
you're right. You're right. Well, Werehogs. We're gonna do Werehogs, you guys. All right, that's gonna be our thing. We're gonna do Werehogs. That's it.
Well, I'll tell you what.
That's going to be our something.
If they're going to exist in winter anywhere, by God, it's going to be in Texas because we've got a horrible freaking pig problem.
You are absolutely right. Something's going to go wrong scientifically somewhere in Texas, and with hogs, it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
I'm dying to know more.
Werehogs
too. Werehogs has got my interest peaked. So please Tell us about werehogs.
Well, I mean, I can picture them. You know, I mean, just not even understanding, but you know, a humanoid type body, but it's got the head of a hog and tusks, you know, and all that stuff. I mean, you can picture this existing.
Yeah, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles did it. Like that was one of the bad guys, was the hog guy, and he had the tusks of a boar and stuff. So yeah, I mean,
well, did y'all watch The Witcher?
I did. I haven't watched all of it, but I watched a pretty good portion of it.
Well, I believe it was The Witcher. One of his best friends was a werehog or something like that.
What was it?
If I remember right.
I thought he was a bear. That one guy that lived alone or whatever. I thought he was
that guy was a bear, but that was in that was in the Hobbits. That was in the not.
Oh, the Tolkien universe?
Yeah, not the Lord of the Rings, but the other trilogy that came out, the Hobbits.
Right. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah.
I was transposing that. You're right, though.
But
I don't know. I can't imagine. Mm-mm.
Well, I'll tell you this much: Hogman better be careful in Texas, because he end up on a spit roasting somewhere.
Yeah, I think you're right there.
We'll stick Nick from Boar Torn, the YouTube channel Boar Torn.
Yes.
There you go. You know, I think about that, like that Hogzilla that they had shot years ago, and that thing was like, wasn't it like 1,100 pounds or something like that?
Yeah, it was somewhere around 1,000 pounds.
It was huge. That thing was a giant, and you know, I mean, that to hell to me, that's terrifying enough, but maybe even more terrifying than a man hog somewhere. I don't know though.
You know, I have to agree, because maybe they talk about, you know, the werewolves being more vicious because they had the wolf side of things, right? Maybe it works just the opposite with a pig, because I mean, a pig is so much more. How terrifying is that? Think about it. A pig is so much more vicious than a damn wolf anyway.
Yeah.
You know?
That's true. That's true.
I mean, a werewolf might tear you up and bite you and stuff and disembowel you. A werepig would eat you, bones and all. Okay? I'm just saying. But you run him in a fence, and you run him in a pig trap, he's done. So, you know.
I'm just looking for images.
I don't know. I mean, Tex, we could write up our own story. We could have somebody build a statue to the werehog. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We could do this up right in Texas.
We could
have a festival. You know, we could do that.
I see the wheels turning and the smoke coming out of the ears there, Brandi.
I know. I mean, I'm seeing a T-shirt right now. Werehogs. I'm seeing it.
You know, in the 70s they had the sweat hogs.
They did.
Welcome back, Carter.
That's right.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back.
Okay, I'm gonna put
Vinny
this up.
Ballerino.
Ooh, Mr. Carter. Let's see. I got to do the share thing. I got a picture of Hogzilla, and I don't know if this is the exact one, but
there's been a few of them.
Right. This is how monstrous these freaking things are, and that to me is just. I imagine that'd be terrifying. That looks like the size of a grizzly, and you'll be able to see it in just a second once I remember how the hell to do something here. Share screen and entire screen. Here we go. All right, I'm sharing it.
Share away.
I don't know who's driving, but
anybody here, I'll drive.
Page.
There
Okay,
you go. See,
I did it.
that looks
Look at that.
photoshopped.
Well, Georgia Farmer.
Thank you, Keith.
Whoa, nice, Keith. Oops, sorry.
Thank you, Keith.
Hey, I dig it. We got sound effects. I forgot
It's like a reflex for me whenever I see a donation.
Well, see that's awesome because that's a fringe benefit of having you on.
I'm just here for my sounds. All right.
He says, my dad hunted hogs once. He had to climb a tree to get away from it. Couldn't imagine a werehog.
Yeah, but I mean, this thing's enormous. Look at that kid with the I don't know what he's got, like a 44 there, 44 mag. But my God, if that was charging at me, I'd be like, I'm dead. I'm done. That's it. That's
yeah. Well, I mean, the only thing that would be your only hope is a good sized tree.
Yeah.
You know, that you could run around and maybe.
I know, but then I'm thinking of me trying to climb a tree.
That would probably be it.
Trying to climb a tree would be like, yeah, I'm dead.
So it says in this photo released by Malin Stone, Jameson Stone 11 poses with a wild pig he killed near Delta, Alabama.
Yeah.
May 3rd, 2007. Stone's father says the hog weighed a staggering 1,051 pounds, measured 9 feet 4 from snout to base of its tail. If claims the animal sizes are true, it would be larger than Hogzilla, the huge hog killed in Georgia in 2004.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, but that's a monster. That's just a monster.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know. We might have to move our festival to Alabama. Just saying.
Alabama's got enough stuff going on.
How dare they have something else?
Just think like Hogzilla wraps, and you just grill up a bunch of bacon and throw it in a pita and put it out there.
Yeah.
Right.
You know what's spooky about pigs is, or one of the things that's spooky about pigs is they will wait for you.
Really?
Once they tree you, they will wait for you.
Oh, that's
evil. It takes a while for them to get bored and go away.
Oh,
they'll wait. They'll wait for you.
I just try putting a bunch of holes in it and see if that worked.
Well, I'd be throwing range down range. I mean, because you're shooting from above, that's some pretty good kill shots.
Oh yeah. Man, that's just frightening though. Just how big they can get. And those, even just a domestic hog in a farm, those things are monsters. But then you give it like a boar attitude and a wild hog attitude. Jeez. Oof. Frightening.
Yeah.
Like they need them. I know, and old sows are, you don't want to mess with an old sow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, she's got piglets.
Yeah,
don't even get in the damn pen with them. Don't even get in the damn pen with them.
Oh, yeah. So, is there a legend of hogs or werehogs? Is that drawn from something?
There is mentions of a hogman. Now, let's see. There's Hogman Outdoors. Maybe I'll narrow this down and put Hogman Cryptid to see what that.
I mean, I could see it. I mean, with all the shapeshifter stories and things like that.
Yeah.
I could see that happening.
Yeah. Wow.
Well, I put in Hogman Cryptid, and everything Dogman jumps up. So, yeah, it's just werewolf and dogman. And I seen nothing about a hogman.
Okay.
So,
I mean, there's what, goat man? There's
yeah.
What is
try Pigman and see what comes up.
Yeah, try Pigman.
Well, because Goat Man is that's more on the spiritual side of things. That's supposed to be more demonic. I mean, could it be something more like a Wendigo type creature?
Okay, so here we go.
Right.
Here we go. I found something on the Northfield Pigman. This comes from, God, I sound like Brent doing this. This comes from Cryptidophilia website. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Says pig-like face, white fur, cloven hooves, and a talon-like claws, approximately 5 to 8 feet tall, aggressive and dangerous. Rumors of slaughtering and eating pigs. It's in the hills around Devil's Wash Bowl in Northfield, Vermont.
Ooh.
Reported sightings by teenagers, farmers, and locals. Skepticism and explanations of an elaborate hoax, or a person with mental illness, and an urban legend.
Well, I'm here to tell you, anytime some place starts with devils something, you're gonna be bumping into something terrible. There's a reason they gave those names.
So here's the legend. The legend of Northfield Pigman begins in 1951, when a 17-year-old boy by the name of Sam Harris disappeared on the night before Halloween. Despite a massive search involving hundreds of locals and police officers, he was never found. And to this day, no one knows what happened to him. While some suggest that he had run away from home or had been kidnapped or murdered, others suggest that something even more sinister happened to him. Soon after his disappearance, reports about the Pigman began to emerge, and some suggested that Sam Harris was the Pigman. One famous eyewitness account was given by a group of teenagers who saw a naked, white-haired figure with a pig's head behind their school. A local farmer confirmed this description when he saw a similar figure digging through his garbage. The farmer also reported that some of his pigs had gone missing during that time.
Yikes. Yeah, that's double creepy because it's some naked thing behind a school of all places. Ugh.
Right? Exactly, Brent. Exactly.
Ugh. Jeez.
I mean, that sounds like, just kind of a creepy story you would tell your children to make them get in the house.
Yeah, I'm leaning. Now the reason I put Hogman. Let me explain this. The reason I put Hogman in this show was because I didn't know it was going to take off like this, but
it had to go somewhere, Tex.
Yeah, we were at Dogman Ranch, and one of our people out there and told us that he got a message from somebody that was psychic medium, and informed him that we not only had several dogmen around us, but we had a hogman around us. Huh. So that's why I put this in here, and I'm like, maybe we can dig some stuff up on it. Maybe Brent's heard about it. Maybe Brandy's heard about it. Maybe somebody in chat's heard about it. But the only thing I can come up with on Hogman is that one out of Vermont.
Huh. Well, we talk about misidentification all the time.
Right.
You put out a video that it is like to a T, 100% what misidentification could have been if you've not walked up on it. Your video was showing something that we thought, everybody thought looking at it was an owl. And it wasn't an owl.
Yeah.
We didn't know anything until you walked up on it.
That's true.
So, I mean, could we, as people, be looking at something and just out of the one sighting, you know what I mean, the one report, and saying, hey, it looked like a pig, but it was just maybe something else that you thought looked like a pig?
Now, switching gears. Catman. This comes now. We need to get Donnie. You need to get up here because this comes out of Maryland. That's Donnie's stomping grounds.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's the Wicomico Wicomico Catman, Maryland, USA.
Huh.
So what this legend is, in the autumn of 1980, 4 individuals had a terrifying encounter with a half-man, half-cat monstrosity. Some believe it to be the result of an exceedingly rare genetic mutation or perhaps a scientific experiment gone horribly awry. Still others insist that this felid friend is of a decidedly more mystical origin. Located in the southeastern portion of Maryland, Wicomico County is named after the river of the same designation, which in turn is an Anglicized version of the Algonquin words Wicomiki, which translates to a place where houses were built. Okay. As comforting as that homespun notion may be, Wicomico County is also reputed stalking ground of a 4-legged quasi-hominoid or humanoid predator that locals refer to as the Wicomico Catman. Although accounts of this unique mid-Atlantic cryptid are admittingly sparse, legend has it that for centuries the local Native American populations have feared this flesh-eating scourge of the forest and have done their best to avoid any contact with the fearsome man-beast. As it all too often the case with unknown animals, the origins of the Catman remain murky. Man, I had such a good role going too. Some paranormal investigators theorize that the creature is a corporeal manifestation of a malicious nature, deity, or perhaps dark magic practitioner in the guise of an animalistic, half-human, supernatural being like the notorious Skinwalker. More skeptically minded folks have surmised that all of the furrier excitement may have stemmed from multi-generational sightings of mutant bobcats, which, due to their small breeding pool, suffer from several deformities that make them, at least from a distance, appear to have human-like characteristics. Other suggestions that environmental contaminants or possibly even rogue genetic experiments may have created an aggressive evolutionary anomaly. Brent, you're going to take over. That combines our intellect, bipedal locomotion, and prehensile hands of a hominid with the little with the lithe figure, claws, teeth, and eyesight, olfactory senses, and predatory skills of a wild feline. Those who fall in between paranormalists and skeptics and conspiracy theorists propose that the Catman might be a new good God Almighty, undiscovered species that presumably synthesizes the traits found in the biological families of feline and hominid into a lineage of highly dangerous super carnivores. And that's as far as I'm going.
That was pretty good.
You know, I mean, the way you read it, I mean, I could see where it would become murdery. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It would be murdery.
So
honestly,
it's Teddy Smooth. You could trap it with catnip, and I'm going to go one more and say a ball of yarn.
This day and age, like one of those red laser lights.
Oh, absolutely! You could just keep running around circles. Yeah.
Yes. Run them into a tree or something.
Yeah. Oh, but you know what? Because a pig man you can get away from running up a tree. Not this critter. He's gonna come right up after you.
That's right. But I can honestly, I can honestly see this
So you jump in the water to get away from the cat.
Being a cryptid. Yeah, I can honestly see it being a cryptid. Just, just from, the history with Anubis and all of that kind of stuff, I could honestly see that. I can honestly see that.
Well, see, I don't see why, if we're willing to accept the legend of the Dogman, or if you want to call it that, why wouldn't you accept other humanoid look, half human, half animal critters?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in terms of
and how much of it?
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, and how much of it can you chalk up to black magic or, something dark like that?
That's what I was going to go with too. That's exactly where I was heading. It's like, with the idea of the skinwalker, oftentimes they're cited as some kind of canid, but that's in the tradition of shapeshifting and in shamanic traditions, there was tales of shapeshifting into hawks, into deer and stags and elk and all kinds of different things. So it's not beyond measure or reason to consider that maybe that makes sense, that this being could have been some form of skinwalker or other shapeshifter type of thing.
Well, look at the Lechusa.
Yeah. Yep. The birds, right? They turn into the owl women. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, hell, there's a case out of there's a case out of West Texas where, and I've had the guy on my show. I guess we probably need to book him over here, or maybe your show, Brent. But him and his dad, there was a big owl that flew into their barn. They locked the barn, and then they came back the next morning, opened the barn, and the owl was gone, and there was a woman there.
Oh, wow. Yeah. And I've interviewed several people on my podcast that have seen 4, 5, 6, 7 foot owls, in different witnesses. One guy was from England, and they were coming over a rise on a country road, and there sitting in the road is this huge, about 4 foot tall owl just sitting there in the middle of the road, just looking at him. And then it just got in it and flew away. But it was much, much, much too large. Another gentleman, he said it looked like it was about 8 feet tall, and it was in this place near where he lived. He was just taking a shortcut to his buddy's house through the woods, and suddenly there it was coming at both of them, and they dodged it, and it came and swooped and then landed, and then ended up taking off again. But it's not unprecedented.
Well, and it's like, I mean, think about it. All these these deities and demigods and stuff that we pull out of Egypt, and all these animal-headed critters, right? Are they that far different? I mean, are these what involved the name evolved into what we call gargoyles? Yeah, because not all gargoyles look alike.
Yeah.
But a lot of them fly.
That's true. Yep.
I mean, I don't know.
Wings. Yep. Sorry, I got an itch on my leg I had to get. But yeah, I again, going back to what I was saying earlier, it's like, I thought I knew this stuff until I started really diving into it and talking to witnesses. And then I realized, man, I didn't know anything. You realize how deep these rabbit holes go with, and it's the realm of possibility, and not every witness is going to be credible, but they believe they see what they see or what they claim. But I don't know that everybody has, but I sure have been marveling ever since I started doing it with the variety and the spectrum of things people have claimed to see. And it's really got me scratching my head.
Well, Uderson is in the chat.
Oh, hello, Uderson. Good to see you.
And he says one of his officers has told him that throughout his life he would see a very large owl, and then usually the next day, an old hag would be watching him.
Wow. There you go. Yikes. Yeah. Oof.
Yeah. Now, Wedge, I agree with what Wedge says in chat. A feline humanoid with the stealth and agility of a big cat would be just as terrifying as Dogman to me. I think it would be more so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I would think that would be an even quieter predator.
I was going to say more stealthy.
Yeah, they are a natural ambush animal.
Right.
You know, even a regular, you know, big cat, you don't know they're there until it's too late.
Yeah. When you realize they're there is when they're chewing on your neck.
Yeah. I mean, it's
well, yeah.
Yeah, give me a Dogman anytime.
Right. Right. I mean, because they're predators. I mean, the big cats are predators, and they usually hunt alone.
Yep. You know, I had a smattering of a theory. It was like an idea, or just, you know, throwing something at the wall, see what stuck. And I got to thinking about, you know, these people that you look at them and they have the slight features of an animal. You know, you hear of women looking like a cat. You know, you hear the term fox faced. You know, fish mouth.
Mm-hmm.
You know, simian looking. You know, and I got to wondering about this. I'm like, I wonder if it's possible that is latent DNA that has popped up, you know, and is kind of just jumping out there a little bit.
I wouldn't know what to say to that. I don't know.
I mean, I thought, man, that's an interesting thought. I thought, you know,
sure. You know what? Just as a side note, my head is full of trivial bits of information that probably aren't important, but I found them interesting at the time. And this actually was a practice by an ancient tribe of people, and I believe it even continues to this day. But these people live in India, and they're in the range of the Bengal tigers, and a lot of people are attacked and killed every year by leopards and tigers and stuff in these regions. And what this one tribe would do is they would wear these hats that had a face on the back as well. And they would walk through the jungles all by themselves, and they never were attacked. And they figure it's because being ambush predators, if the cat thinks you're seeing it, it's not going to move and will never actually jump in for the kill because it thinks it's being watched. And I was like, oh, that's really clever. Well,
if you think about it, that happens in nature.
Yeah,
as well. You have these animals and insects and everything that, especially like lizards and frogs and insects, that have a facsimile of a face on their rear end for that reason. So hell, why not?
Yeah. That's I mean, as another side note, that's something that continually cooks my bacon, is just thinking of how did some insect at some point in the evolutionary ladder figure out, hey, I'm going to look like a stick? Or how did these, other things look exactly like a leaf? Or, or those moths that develop or butterflies that develop what looks like a bird's face. So if a bird comes in to get them, they open their wings up and it looks like another bigger bird's looking at them. It's like, where did they get that? I mean, where did that reasoning come from? And is it because, just if you think of evolution, it's like, what are the odds that they would have figured out, hey, if I look like a stick, they don't eat sticks, I'm going to look like a stick, Well,
see, and that's just one of the many, many reasons that it is so hard for me to swallow that oh, this was all made by accident.
Right.
You know,
But-
that there wasn't a hand in there somewhere. Come on, folks.
Right. But then when you're talking about these
Well, I
cryptids-
mean, think about all the natural camouflage these
Yeah.
animals have and
Yeah.
these insects have.
Yep, that they blend. But if you
You know, they were.
go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say. I mean, you got to think about the one that always comes to mind is that nasty spider that can wrap itself on a tree limb, and you couldn't tell what's tree limb and what's the spider.
Yes. Yeah. Yep. Yes, it's
And it's a big
mind-boggling.
thing.
It is. It is. But
Yeah.
then you think about the fact that we're still discovering things all the time. And some of everybody, there's a lot of people that like to say, well, yeah, but they're like little worms or insects or something small. It's like, not always. Some of this stuff that they're finding is still huge.
Yeah.
I think they just recently
Yes.
discovered a whole new kind of orangutan in Indonesia that they didn't know was out there. That's a big thing, and it just came to light. So, and then you think of the places that we haven't been. I mean, even in America, and I'm sure in Europe as well, and in all of these countries around the world, there's places where people have never been ever.
Oh, absolutely.
They're never seen a person walk through it, and what lives there? What could live in those regions? Or, I don't know. It's just not too much to believe that a lot of this stuff could very well be true.
Well, yeah. Well, the deep wilderness of North America, the deep, the jungles of the Amazon in South America,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the great northern woods of Canada,
Mm-hmm.
just to name three. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a lot of land that has never seen a human foot on it. I would bet my paycheck on it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that we just kind of think, well, that's all settled. People live there, so they would know. It's like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, if you live in a town, there's places where people in the town just don't ever go. They don't get there because they're just doing their lives. It's not like we're these intrepid explorers where we go and, walk through the wilderness every inch of it. So
Right.
I'm sure there's things living around us that have just learned how to live around us without us knowing it.
Yeah, and we're not the most observant animal, folks. We're really not.
Absolutely not.
No, we are not.
Absolutely
not
not.
anymore.
And if you don't believe me, look up videos of people walking in manholes, people walking into signs, people walking into people.
Yeah.
Now get this. We at work one time, we had some contractors that were cleaning the windows, right? And they had brought a lift out, a big boom lift. This thing was bright safety orange, folks. And they had it parked and around the side of the building. And it was in the parking lot, and the boom was stretched over, to the building. And this guy walking into work, kid you not, walked smack into the boom.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's perfect.
So, yeah, we're not the most observant. I mean, why, that's why we you hear people about stepping on snakes, stepping on, bugs, walking by a deer, walking by a big cat, walking by everything. And I guarantee you, if you've been out in the woods walking around, you walk by so many damn Bigfoot, you can't even shake a stick at. Guarantee.
I can't even tell you. You're talking about camping, and you hammer your tie down from your tent into the ground, and you still trip over it, even though you put it there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I do it every time.
Yeah.
Well, there's a piece of wire in Brown Springs you trip over every time you go.
Every time.
And it's there. You know where it's at.
And I know it's there.
Yep.
Yeah, you can't pull it up or anything. I mean,
No.
There's no way, but it's there and it's sticking up. You can see it, but I trip over it every time.
Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah. I mean, God, I trip over things walking to my bathroom, and I make that trip about 30 times a day.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, how did I miss that table?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's only been sitting there all year, you know.
Yeah, it's been there for 3 years, and I find it with my big toe a surprisingly amount of times.
I'll tell you what, I climbed
Mhm.
I was working in this one place, and we had some buildings that we would have to travel to go, they weren't very far, but you'd have to go drive over to them to check them out if they had an alarm or whatever, do a PM on the equipment and all that kind of stuff. And I had to go over there and get on the roof one night. And this has nothing really about being observant, but it's just one of those things that look before you leap type thing. And I
Sure.
come up out of the roof hatch and stepped up out off the ladder, up on the roof. And have you ever seen those roofing nails that have the square base on them and they're about this long?
Yes.
Okay. They got it. They stick. And then, yeah, right on one of them.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. That would suck.
And I've jumped over a creek and landed on a mesquite thorn, went right through my boot into my foot. I mean, stuff like that. But
Needless to say, you've had a few tetanus shots in your life.
They call them tetanus Tex.
you would think, right? I think, you know what? I don't think I've had but one or two in my entire life. Probably due for one.
That doesn't cover much, Tex, because they're only good for 10 years.
Yeah, I probably need to have one.
You probably need to get me too. Me too. I think I'm right at 9 years since the last one, so it's right there. I need to get another one.
Wow.
I don't remember when I got my last one. It was probably when I stepped on that, and that would have been, good God Almighty, 2000 maybe. Yeah. So, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we're so quick, and I'm as guilty as anybody. I don't know why me personally are so quick to almost disregard anything other than a Dogman. I guess because I've seen it. I guess, even the Goatman. I think the famous Lake Worth Goatman here in Texas was right down the road. I don't think that's what it was. I think it was a Sasquatch. I really do.
I think it was too. I mean, just by reading the story and really going into what they were talking about, it didn't sound like a Goatman at all.
Yeah.
It sounded like a Sasquatch that may have had a few issues.
Had anger issues.
Yeah.
Pissed off and threw a tire 500 feet.
Right.
Not just a tire and a wheel. But did we lose connection? Everybody freeze? Did I freeze? What happened?
No, you're still good.
But when we start talking about these things, for some reason, and I can't tell you why, but for some reason, on a personal level, I feel that Dogman, or what I saw, I'll put it this way, the canine looking entity that I saw, being, creature, monster, whatever you want to call it, 100% flesh and blood. When you start talking about these other things like the owl people and the goat men and everything, satyrs and all this kind of stuff, to me, I have no problem going supernatural on that. No problem whatsoever.
I have no problem going to the Fae side with all of that.
Right.
Fair enough. Yeah.
And see, I think that it's real possible, and I've said this before, we've talked about it I think all three of us have talked about it at one time or another, that all these things that we're seeing now, we're just putting different labels on them. And back then they just lumped them all in the Fae.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Bigfoot could possibly be the trolls and the ogres and stuff that they were talking about. You know, satyrs were what we call goat men. Yep. You know, you had the werewolves or whatever, and I mean, we still have, you know, now we're calling it Dogman. I still ain't met anybody that could tell me that they absolutely know that there's a difference between a Dogman and a werewolf.
You know, the only anomalies that I've ever heard regarding, to me, a distinction is that some people have absolutely, they sound almost interchangeable in description, but some people swear they've seen these Dogman creatures wearing clothes.
Right.
And that to me is like, well, where does that come from then? Unless it was a transformation, or is it mimicking people? I don't, you know, maybe they're intelligent enough to just try to mimic us, but that
Urban
to me is always, well, sure, I guess, but it is an unusual take, because I don't think I've ever heard of a Bigfoot wearing clothes.
I have.
You what? Really?
Yes.
Oh, do tell. I'd love to hear just a.
I've heard just smattering reports, you know, throughout the years of they'll see him, you know, wearing a hat every once in a while. They'll see him wearing the tatters of clothes.
Really?
You know, yeah, okay. Because, well, think about it. I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility at all, because there's crap left at campsites all the time. Unfortunately, because we're pigs, folks. That they'll see them wearing a shirt every once in a while, you know, yes. or you know, whatever. Maybe they don't know how to wear it, you know, exactly, but you know, scarves and that type of thing, and they see us wearing. I would think mostly it would be juveniles, you know.
I suppose, yeah.
I mean, one of my favorite haunts when I was a kid was any damn junk pile I could find.
Oh, me too. Yeah. I used to love going through the woods and finding old refuse piles and going through it.
Yeah.
Not like garbage, but like just old equipment and things.
Right.
I wasn't dumpster diving as a kid, honest.
But you know, so
I think you're right, Tex, though. I think you're right. I mean, think about all the time they spend watching us. I mean, there's so many reports, so many stories about, you know, they're close to the human population. Just we can't find them. You know what I mean? They're there, and they're constantly watching us. So they're seeing us all the time wearing hats or taking them off, or shirts, and, you know, just clothing in general, putting them on, taking them off.
Yeah.
Mm.
So why wouldn't they?
And see, Werewolf says werewolves lower half is humanish.
Not always, though.
How do we know?
Well, because I'm talking about the digigrade versus the plantigrade legs.
Well,
you know, of course.
Yeah,
and some report tails, some report no tail. I've heard both versions of that.
Well, there's dogs with tails and no tails.
Right. But I'm just the distinction between looking truly humanish, like it's not just a from the neck up they're a wolf, and from the you know, neck down they're human. But yeah, there is distinctions.
But see, and I think that a lot of what people are calling backward facing legs is a misidentification.
Could be,
because I think it's just a long elongated foot, and that's the heel you're seeing sticking up there, because they're running on their toes. Because if they were digigrade feet, they would have to be up on their toes to even have some kind of balance and not be awkward. Sure. They are as awkward. But if they were plantigrade, you know, and they didn't have back-facing legs, they would not have that awkward wobble, you know. And I don't care if it's a Dogman or a werewolf tail you're talking about, when they're up on two legs, nobody talks about that awkward walk like a dog.
Mm.
You know? Everybody talks about how swift and maneuverable they are, and fast, and and all this kind of stuff. They're running alongside a car on two legs. So, and I don't care if they call it a Dogman or a werewolf or whatever the encounter may be. Some of them are all fours, some of them are not. But back in the werewolf legends, depending on what legend it is, some of them are, full canine, some of them are not. Like mine dove over the fence, went from two legs down to four legs. I never heard any tendons snapping, bones cracking, or anything. Just real smooth, silent transition. Saw the grass move, and he was gone. But he ran. I mean, folks, this thing was 25 to 30 feet in front of me in daylight. I mean, I know what I saw. Or I know. Well, let me rephrase that. I know what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
I think that's a better explanation because I do not know what I saw. I do not know if it was a Dogman, werewolf. What was it? I didn't know anything but to call it a werewolf when I saw mine.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's because the term Dogman had not been coined yet. But
Tex, let me ask you if you don't mind.
Sure.
When you finally started hearing stories of Dogman and other people having these experiences, what was your first thought? Because I imagine at first you must have thought, well, this is just me. I saw something that nobody's ever seen. Yeah. What was your take on it once you heard other people had experienced that?
Shit, I'm not crazy.
Okay, yeah, that's kind of what I was expecting, to be honest with you. Because
I mean, it really was. So because I remember when it happened. I was at work and we had some downtime. I was on lunch or something like that. Where'd that come from?
What?
I heard myself.
Oh, did you get
yeah, I picked up an echo for some reason somewhere. But anyway, I was at work. I had some downtime or lunch, whatever it was. And I'm flipping through YouTube and I found this thing, Dogman. What the hell's a Dogman? And I started listening to these encounters, and I'm like, oh my God, these people are seeing the same crap I saw.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I may not be crazy. I'm not the only one out. This is not a one-off thing. And and that's when I reached out to Danielle Stedman on Dogman Diaries.
Okay.
After I had looked, and I'm like, I got to talk to somebody that knows more about this than I do. Hell, me and my buddies, we put together we laid out an op and everything. We were going to go hunt this damn thing. I'm glad it never came to fruition.
Yeah.
But I don't know. That was my first reaction. I'm like, holy crap, But
and the bad thing is that you did see it. You went through that whole experience of seeing it, and we still can't determine what exactly it is.
No. And now I've got that whole conundrum again. I just saw what I can only explain is a pale crawler at Dogman Ranch.
Right.
What the hell am I supposed to do with this?
Yeah.
And then Ulison's wife saw it reach around the steps and grab my pants leg.
Man.
And that's what tripped me.
Yeah, and I saw the picture that you had of the steps, and you really can't hide behind those.
No. And there's nothing there to trip over.
No. So what is it, like 3 steps? Three or 4 steps? 3 steps.
Yeah, 3 steps.
And it's not that big. So something of that size just couldn't run up and hide behind it. There'd be no way.
But then Ullerson saw something dart off from behind it and down the side of the barn after I was tripped. So, but what I saw go up the side of the barn when we walked up there, move faster than anything I've ever seen. And it was like a dark ash charcoal color, not black charcoal. It was like that dark gray. And it looked like Spider-Man going upside of a building, man. That's what it looked like. It was about man-sized.
Hmm.
And it went, and there's no wall in the barn. It's just wire and, stock wire. And it just right up on top of the barn. And the reason I was on the steps is I was trying to see on top of the barn, see if I could get a bit, see if I was what I could see. Where the hell are you at? I was talking to it. Where did you go? Where the hell are you? And what are you?
Right. I don't. From what you're saying, and each time you tell it, it doesn't sound like to me you were dealing with something in the flesh.
Oh no, absolutely not. I am convinced 100% this was not physical.
Anything that,
yeah. But it was evidently able to affect the physical world, which is nothing new. I mean, poltergeists do that. Yeah.
Right.
So, yeah, I don't know. But I know one thing. I'm going to go back and try to find out what the hell it was.
Well, okay, so let's talk about the ground there for a little bit. Now, you find fossils and all kinds of things out there.
Right.
So maybe we're dealing with something even older than what we're trying to put it with. You know what I mean? This is not something new. This may be something ancient.
It may be. Maybe. I mean, at the very least, I think we could be dealing with something that was there since, the first American, the native indigenous peoples were there because Ulerson's dad watched, Indians bury their dead on a hill there on this place. This place has been in his family for a long time. And so, and there's several unmarked graves around, on the property. We know that, there's been numerous artifacts dug up, how old is this? And like you said, you got the whole fossil, that whole basin that's just full. You can't take a step without stepping on a fossil down there.
Wow.
And so, yeah, who knows how old this damn thing is? I'm going to do some first time that we've any of our group has done this, and I'm going to get with Monica's husband and talk to him about doing this because I want him to do it with me because there's that creek bed down there where all those fossils are.
Yes.
I found out last time I was talking to Ulerson now and that creek is constantly running, even if the top level, even if there's no water that you can see, there's still water running because it's carved out a shelf or a path underneath what we can see. And you can see the opening to this thing. And it's the deepest part, one of the deepest parts there. So I'm going to, for the first time in a long time, do some underwater research and investigation. So I need to get a hold of a camera that I can take with me because I want to film that whole thing when I go under,
Should get a GoPro. You can get those waterproof cases for them.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's I'm really looking forward to that, but that's gonna have to wait till the water warms up because that is cold.
Yeah.
Might be a little chilly.
Yeah, man, I know it is. Me and Monica's husband took a bath in it time before last we was out there. Shriveled my pod, folks. I'm just saying.
Yeah, my
Oh
t-shirt.
my goodness.
My t-shirts would probably have nipple holes in them.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie. Here I am wandering around the creek. Monica and them, they're up there. Her and Pops and everybody, they're up there chipping fossils, and I'm right down, just right there, walking around in the creek in my boots and underwear.
Well, there you have it.
But yeah,
There you have it, everyone. A nice visual to leave you with tonight.
there you go. There you go.
Save that for your OnlyFans, Tex.
Right. But yeah, I will be doing some underwater stuff. So that's coming in the near future as soon as the water warms up.
Yeah, as bizarre as that location is on so many counts, it would be interesting to look into, what's going on with the waterway and stuff, and what might you find down there.
Well, and I'm excited about but you can't swim into this cavern type thing because it's only about this wide. It's a shelf is what it is. But the spot that I'll be getting in is maybe 6 feet deep at the best, from what I understand. But there's ledges that you can see, and the water's crystal clear. And so I want to get in there and find out what kind of fossils are in the water, man. Right. What kind of fossils are we not seeing? What else is in there? Are there any artifacts at the bottom of this thing? Anything like that? So yeah,
that's very possible. Very possible.
Yeah, I want to scope that out. I'm really looking forward to it. But
yeah, because that just makes me wonder if you're going to find crystals or something like agates or something else down in that water that is just not hitting the top.
Yeah, but that's what's cool. And Shift Films, since you can rent underwater camera equipment online, I can send the blonde some links. Please do. GoPro have no battery life, and you're in Texas, so it's very muddy. A lot of Texas water is muddy, but when you get into these creeks and stuff, especially if they're spring fed, you're talking very, very clear water, folks. And we do have clear lakes, clear-ish lakes. I'll put it that way. I'm no stranger to diving in Texas, so I know. But yeah, I'm not going cave diving, Mojo. Don't worry about this. I should have made that more clear, but I will not be going down there without a lifeline too. So I'm a little smarter than that. I've had my moments, even a blind squirrel will find a nut, but broken clocks right twice a day, that. But yeah, some exciting stuff.
I would be very interested to see what you come across. I mean that to me.
Hopefully you'll be down there with me. Well, not in the water, but you'll be there holding my lifeline.
I'll be out. I'll just be looking at you, going, "Hey, can you breathe? Yeah. Are you drowning? Do I need to pull on this rope?"
So, and that's another thing. I'm not planning on going the whole scuba route. I'm just gonna go skin dive, free diving, So I won't be skinny dipping. So I'll be skin diving.
Again, I hope everybody enjoys that visual.
It's a good. Y'all ready to say goodnight to everybody?
Yep, I'm ready to go.
All right.
Of course, I got to go to work early. It's got to pay the bills. I like to eat. So
Brent, don't run off after the show.
Oh,
okay?
Yeah, don't run off.
I have to tell Brent this because if not, he'll just gone.
He's just gone.
Yeah,
just gone.
He's like he can't push that button fast enough to get out of town. So,
right.
Brent, what do you got going, man? Yeah, I know you just got back into town not long ago, and you're getting ramped back up. So
yeah, I did shows last weekend and stuff, but I'll be live tomorrow night with Sheldon, and then you're going to join me on Saturday, right?
Yes, sir.
So that's what I know is going on for sure. 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the Paranormal Portal channel.
There you go. There you go. And tomorrow night, we are going to have a special guest, Greg Ogles. So he is a friend of everybody here, plus in the chat. Hey, stop by tomorrow night. I'm sure it's going to be hilarious. There's never a dry moment, should I say that? That's where it goes with that.
Will Krista be back tomorrow night?
Krista will be back tomorrow night, yes.
Okay. Now, in about a half an hour, Monica is back in town and she's doing the show. It's going to be me, her, and Breezy, from what I understand tonight. So, yeah.
That's going to be a great show.
She finally read the book that I've been after her for literally months to read. She finally read it. So we're going to have a conversation about that. It was Daisy Darker. And if you haven't read it, give it a good read. Give it a read. It's a good read. It really is. But I don't think I got anything going tomorrow during the day, unless I get feeling froggy and but we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Well, all right. Well, good night, everybody.
Yeah. I said, with that being said, we'll see everybody tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Central, right back here on Blondes and Booze. And good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.
This is the future. Evolution.
The Crossing Realms Conference launches September 19th and 20th and will dock in Richmond, Missouri. This is already being called the event of the year, folks. With an unprecedented list of speakers and special guests, 2 days of cryptids, UFOs, and paranormal presentations, along with a celebrity-filled ghost hunt, meet and greet, gallery reading, vendors, and a film screening. This promises to be both educational and fun. Go to Eventbrite.com to secure your tickets and vendor slots before they are all abducted. They're going fast.